Today we are going over this awesome floodlight camera. The resolution is 2K, and usually for 2K floodlight camera you will be paying at least $200. We love this camera because it's waterproof. Obviously, the two LEDs can be adjusted independently of each other, meaning you can have this thing shoot out far away and this thing can be bent down so that you can see something a lot closer to the camera. Underneath the camera there's a microSD card if you want local storage, but it has ONVIF, so you can connect this easily to the NVR for extra long duration and reliability. It has PIR motion detection, so that way there's no false alarm. It has RTSP, so I can connect this to Frigate for person-human detection. There's two-way audio, but I've never used that because I'm more interested in home automation and Frigate for human detection. The LED is super bright, so I can have my dark alley all lit up whenever it detects PIR motion or human motion. This is really cheap, made in China, most likely designed by a Chinese company, so installation is a little bit weird and you'll see that later on. I've noticed that this camera has been rebadged multiple times, so sometimes you'll see like this one has no brand name whatsoever, or in my case you'll see it branded as something like Key Mari or something like that. Regardless, if you see this design, it's exactly the same thing. So let's get started with the app installation first. You want to make sure that the camera is working inside your house before you actually mount it outside of your house. This is the app that you'll need. I'm using Google Play Store. Cloud Edge is the name of the app. Go ahead, install and open it. It will want you to create an account. I already created an account, so I just signed in already, as you can see here. Once you create your account, go ahead and click on this plus icon to add the device. Go down and choose Floodlight Camera Wi-Fi. Now it's a good time to plug the camera in. I'm in USA, so it's a regular 120 volt AC. Under the camera, there's a cover. Remove the cover and you'll see the microSD card slot as well as a reset button. Go ahead and insert the microSD card in now and press the reset button and click on next. This requires 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi, so if you have 5 GHz, it will not work. If your GPS is not turned on, it will want your GPS and Wi-Fi to be turned on. Enter your Wi-Fi credentials, click on next. On your phone, it will display a QR code. Place the QR code about 8 inches away from the camera. So the camera will see the QR code. Once it sees the QR code, it will automatically jump into your Wi-Fi network. Here's my QR code. I'm going to display it to the camera. Of course, you can use your tablet to configure the camera, and that's what I'm using right now. It takes some time, maybe within 1 minute, for it to see the QR code and then jump onto your network. Back into the home screen, this is what you would see. Click on the play button if you want to see live view. And this is what you would see. You would see live view. In order to make it full screen, go ahead and click on this icon to make it full screen. These are some of the options that you have. I'm not going to go over it because it's pretty self-explanatory. Click on the settings icon. Inside the settings, here are all that's available for you. The thing that I really need is ONVIF setting, and go ahead and click on that if you want to set this camera up to work with your NVR. Turn on ONVIF. This is your IP address. Don't forget to set this as a static IP address in your router. I find that it's much easier to configure static IP address in the router rather than in the app or any other app actually. The default user is admin, and go ahead and change the password. And that's basically it for the software side. Now that you know that the camera is working properly, go ahead and start mounting it outside. Remember how I said this thing is not standard installation? Well, here we go. If you already have a floodlight, a dumb floodlight or a smart floodlight, you just can't pop this camera in. First, grab this metal mount. There's 3 screws that you need to mount onto the wall. Unfortunately, there's no template included in the package, so I'm using blue tape and I'm marking the holes from the mount earlier. I'm going to screw in these holes right here. To drill the 3 holes into masonry, it's really easy with masonry bits. Set your drill to hammer mode because it's hammer time. Don't even try to make the holes into the brick itself. I would make the holes into the cement part of it. 1, 2, 3. Wow, I almost hit the brick right there. If you try to hit the brick, it's impossible. It's going to take you forever and it's going to damage your tools. Place the anchor mounts into the holes that you made. Put the mounting bracket up against the holes and insert the screw to hold it stationary in. See these two rods sticking out? The camera will be inserted into those two rods and then secure via the two screws. Here you can see that the electrical wire from the flood camera is sticking out. Don't worry, it's totally waterproof. Go ahead and release this knob right here. On the other side, release the knob as well. Pull it away and you will see this rubbery piece. Go ahead and remove that from this. On the other side, repeat the same process. Next, unscrew this big thing and then you'll see 3 wires along with 3 small screws. It's exactly the same thing on the other side. Within, you will see 3 wires: ground, neutral, and hot. The wire that they gave me was not as long as I want because I have to feed this wire into the wall within my house. So I'm using a regular computer cable for desktop. It is extra long, about 6 feet. Here's a regular computer cable. This is the part that I don't need. I'm just going to cut the wire and discard this piece right here. Using a multimeter, I was able to understand that this yellow wire is the ground. This part of the wire is the neutral. And this part of the wire is hot. Using the multimeter, I'm going to confirm which one is which on the camera itself. So make sure that the neutral goes to neutral, hot to hot, and ground to ground. Once you made all of the connections, go ahead and put everything back into its place. So screw this into this joint right here. Squeeze the rubbery piece inside this part right here. Finally, screw this onto this part right here. Everything should be waterproof now. Here's the exterior side of it. So the 3 prongs is inside my house. Then I feed the cable outside. Cover up the hole with a silicone sealant. This is my favorite, Gorilla Sealant. It dries super fast, so be careful with it. This stuff is really nasty on your hands, so I highly recommend you wear gloves. Once all done, this is what you would see. Here's the cable coming from inside the house, into this junction, into the camera, and powering up the whole system. These are the settings for the NVR. I'm using my favorite NVR, which is from Amcrest because it has ONVIF. You can connect, mix and match cameras from other brands as you wish, and they'll work no matter what. The IP address is whatever static IP address that you set earlier. RTSP port, that's important. HTTP port, also important. Username is admin. Password is whatever you set in the Cloud Edge app. For RTSP, this is the format that you'll need to feed in to Frigate or whatever other RTSP software they're using, such as VLC or even Blue Iris. This is the IP address that you set earlier. Let's jump into Home Assistant so you can see my Frigate settings. This is the setting for the alleyway camera that we just configured and installed. The path is the RTSP feeds. And here are all my pretty much default settings. I didn't touch anything except the motion mask. There are certain areas of the alley that I really don't need because of, cars going by or people walking by. I'm only interested in the alley that's going into my house. So this is the mask that I set up. Here you can see the alleyway. Clicking on it will give you a live feed. It's pretty good, right? The mask is covering this area as I mentioned before. I'm only interested in this area right here. You know what's interesting? Because this thing is not really standard. One thing I've noticed is that when Frigate detects human, I can't get a snapshot via ONVIF to my Telegram. In order to get a picture of the person walking by, I would have to use some Frigate settings so that way Frigate would take the snapshot and then send it to my phone. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, and I wish somebody would show me how to do it because it's not easy at all. I really like this camera, and as you can see, you can easily get it for around 60 bucks. It's crazy good that you get 2K resolution with it, and ONVIF and microSD. That way everything is local, so you never have to use that stupid app again. You only need that app to set up the camera into your Wi-Fi network. And that's it. Hopefully you found this installation guide, review, and Frigate settings useful. I really appreciate you guys subscribing to my channel. And thanks for watching.